There are massive changes coming to the TSP this year, and they've totally botched something that was supposed to be awesome. For starters, they're going to raise the expense ratios on the funds. While that sucks, they're actually doing something much worse. They're giving us access to thousands of mutual funds. This sounds awesome, right? Wrong. They totally screwed it up. I'll talk about how first. They're going to enhance online security. Who cares? Coming out with a mobile app. Okay, that's kind of cool. Raising the contribution limit. About time. I'm going to quickly go over what's important about each one of these, but I'll start with the mutual fund offering because it's some juicy gossip and I want you to avoid getting screwed over by this. Access to mutual funds. One of the biggest changes to the TSP expected to hit this summer, the mutual fund window. In addition to the 5 investment funds currently available, there will be a way to take a portion of your TSP funds and invest them into regular mutual funds with more than 5,000 to choose from. Does this sound good? Yes, it does. Is this good? Hell no. The TSP has managed to royally screw up offering mutual fund investments by doing this. Drum roll, please. Charging absurdly high fees. That's right, the fees that I'm hearing we're gonna pay for this option means I won't recommend it to anyone I know. Yes, that means you. Right now, as it stands, investing in the TSP family of funds is pretty inexpensive, less than 1/10%. I'll go more into this a little bit later. So what will you have to pay to invest in this new mutual fund offering? Oh, I'm almost embarrassed to say. Here we go. For starters, a $95 annual maintenance fee. Hell no, I'm out. Oh, there's more. And a $55 annual fee to cover administrative expenses. The hell you say? Let's get this straight. There are 2 separate annual fees. Yep, I've seen enough. Oh, there's more. $28.75 per trade. That's buying into or out of a mutual fund.
Emotional damage!
And on top of all that, you still have to pay the fees and expenses specific to the individual mutual fund that you choose. What does that mean? Well, some mutual funds have front-end or back-end loads. That means you pay a fee to the mutual fund company when you buy in or buy out of the fund. That will be in addition to the TSP charging you $28.75 per trade. These loads can be as high as 6%. Never pay a load for a mutual fund, not even 1%. Dave Ramsey's mutual funds, I believe, are this high, and I believe that to be robbery. Let me get into some of the other specifics about how this mutual fund window will work. God help us. You can't use it unless you have at least $40,000 in your TSP. The minimum initial transfer amount is $10,000. Your transfers can't exceed 25% of your TSP balance. In other words, you only can invest 1/4 of your TSP balance in these mutual funds. Mutual fund transfers count towards the TSP's maximum inter-fund transfer limit of 2 per month. This inter-fund transfer limit is kind of lame and needs to go. The TSP mutual fund window has been 13 years in the making, and here's Rich on Money's take on this. They totally effed it up big time. It will not make financial sense for most people to invest in mutual funds in the TSP. The fees are absurdly, almost criminally high. You are far better off sticking to the traditional CSIFG and life cycle funds. If you want mutual fund exposure, it makes a hell of a lot more sense to max IRA contributions at a company like Vanguard, Fidelity, or Charles Schwab. There are no fees for investing in their mutual funds and their expense ratios are low, low, low. Oh, TSP, I am so disappointed. Not to despair, just keep investing in the traditional TSP lettered funds and ignore this botched up mutual fund window idea. Disclaimer. If the TSP decides to sponsor this YouTube channel once I blow up and go viral, I will have to delete this video, make a new video supporting their high fees, and find a way to live with myself. As long as they pay me enough, I'll figure it out. Let's go over some of the other significant changes now. On to another juicy topic, raising expenses. The TSP is raising its expenses on its traditional lettered funds. Don't get confused. This is a separate issue than the mutual fund window debacle. I'm talking about the expense ratio of the CSIGF and life cycle funds. So how much are these expenses going up? Let me tell you. The TSP administrators have lots of upgrades to TSP in the works. These higher costs will ultimately mean higher expense ratios for the TSP's 5 main funds. Somebody's got to pay for these upgrades. Newsflash, that's you. Up until recently, the TSP's expense ratio was about 0.05% for each fund. This is relatively low. It's going to be raised to about 0.076% to pay for some of these upgrades. Is that a lot? Well, let's compare the C fund, which is the S&P 500 index, to the expense ratios for identical funds at Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Vanguard. So the C fund at the TSP is about 0.07%. At Fidelity, its equivalent fund is 0.02. Schwab 0.03%, Vanguard 0.04%. To be clear, 0.07% isn't going to bankrupt anybody. It's still very low. We are talking about less than 0.1%. It's not worth worrying about. But the difference over a lifetime with TSP versus these cheaper funds I mentioned can definitely be thousands of dollars. That might seem like a lot, but your account should have a mill or two by the time you retire. So a few $1,000s is small potatoes. Verdict: this change is nothing to worry about. On to the next change, raised contribution limits. This happens every few years. The limit for contributing to the TSP last year was $19,500. It's been raised by $1,000 to $20,500 this year. These contribution maximums mimic whatever the max is for 401ks. These are usually raised every 2 years or so. To get the maximum contribution this year, roughly $1,708 needs to be contributed per month. Keep in mind, don't contribute too quickly to your TSP. If you hit the max before the last month of the year, your contributions stop automatically, but so does your matching if you get matching. If you're looking to truly max your TSP and matching, then you need to contribute the exact right amount each month so that you don't run out of contribution limit before the last paycheck of the year. Get with a finance officer to make sure you don't jack this up. On to the next change, the mobile app. When surveying what TSP participants want, 57% of those under age 40 expressed a desire for a mobile app. It will have a new chat tool that will be operated by TSP representatives, a virtual assistant that is run by artificial intelligence, secure logins that utilize fingerprints and face recognition technology on users' phones. So basically Apple friendly. They'll also have a mobile check deposit for adding funds to the TSP accounts. Wait a second, this is starting to sound like a professional organization here. Are you sure the TSP is linked to the federal government? As a result of this, all federal employees, retirees, and beneficiaries that own TSP accounts will need to set up a new login to access their accounts online. TSP account holders will also need to establish multi-factor authentication and one-time passwords to confirm users' identity. These new security procedures will allow for more forms to be processed electronically. This will require a blackout period where TSP's participants won't be able to access their accounts online. Not sure how long, maybe a day or two. Don't worry, we'll live. So in summary, the TSP is changing the following: offering mutual funds, which will suck; raising expenses on lettered funds, which is no big deal; raising contribution limits, which is awesome; and setting up a mobile app with enhanced security features. Cool, but I kind of expect this from something as large as the TSP. I'm rich on money. Here are 2 other videos you could watch next if you want to continue this journey to understanding money and real estate as a military member or federal employee. Rich on money, signing off.